baby, make it hurt so good. Oh, 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 we're live. Oh, okay. Come on, baby, make it hurt so good. Yeah, got to get my practice in before karaoke tonight. Mike and I have a huge duet to do tonight. Mike Owens is here. I'm Adrian Fedque. Mike, you ready? Ready to do some karaoke tonight?
Oh, well, I'm ready. Bring in the Memorial Day weekend in style. And, I'll be wearing my Ertz jersey as well, to accompany our singing. But, this is all about Ertz, this show. We're going to talk about Zach Ertz here going into his third season. And, third season is usually the breakout year, and we're really expecting big things from Ertz.
Yeah, and the great thing about that jersey, I think you're safe. I don't think he's getting traded. He's going to be on the team for a little while, so I think you're good.
Yeah, well, let's hope so. I mean, before I had the Deshaun Jackson jersey. Well, no more Deshaun. He's in Washington now. So I got the Ertz jersey. This year, the Monday night game against the Panthers, went into the pro shop, and obviously I had many selections. I could have went with the McCoy jersey, which many people have went with, but I opted to go with the Ertz, and I knew that he was a guy that Chip Kelly drafted, and he's a guy that Chip Kelly likes, so he's really the future tight end here in Philadelphia.
Oh yeah, baby. Oh yeah, and I can't wait for this season because I'm like you. I think he's going to have a huge breakout year. So, stats from last season: 58 receptions, 702 yards, 3 touchdowns on 89 targets. He was 11th in receiving yards among tight ends, 12th in receptions. And that's pretty impressive for a guy considering he only took about 50% of the snaps because Brent Selleck is on the roster. And Selleck is a much, much better blocker. And this is something that people kind of don't understand because there were a lot of people last year that were complaining that Ertz wasn't seeing the field enough. But Jason Kelce went down. Evan Mathis went down. The offensive line was in shambles. So it was a necessity for Selleck to see the field more because obviously he's a better blocker. He's going to help with the offensive line. So, Mike, you agree with me there. So you want to get into that a little bit?
Yeah, well, blocking is a thing that Ertz has really had to work on ever since he's became a pro. So he's been continuing to work on that. He got better with it last year. So, hopefully with another training camp under his belt this year, he'll continue to improve his blocking skills. And as he continues to improve his blocking skills, that'll help him get onto the field more. But, like you were saying, last year with all the injuries on the offensive line, obviously Selleck is a great blocker, so they really needed to have him out there really as an extra offensive lineman. So you didn't really get to see, Ertz that much. Now, if you want to, have an example of what Ertz can really do in this offense, all you have to do is go and look at that, Redskins game there in Week 16 where he caught 15 passes for 115 yards. So that's really a good example of what Ertz can do in this offense when he's able to get on the field because you remember that game, and he was pretty much he was open the entire game. So if he's able to get on the field, he can get open. So he can be a deadly tight end.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And those 15 receptions, that set a team record. So that game was a perfect illustration of what Ertz can bring to the table. And in that game, he saw 78% of the team snaps, which was by far the most he saw all season. And there's a play that the Eagles like to run called the split zone, and in the split zone, basically all the offensive linemen, they will block to the play side. Now the tight end will come across the formation for the kick-out block, and this creates a natural crease for the running back to cut back. Now, are you going to have Ertz in there for that play, or are you going to have Selleck in there? That's a no-brainer there. So you're going to have Selleck in for that. You had Selleck in a lot on passing situations to block because Foles wasn't getting a lot of time last year, especially after Kelsey and Mathis went down. And perfect illustrations of this. Okay, so Evan Mathis goes down week 1. Jason Kelsey goes down week 3. San Francisco game. This is the last time Zach Ertz really saw the field a lot until week 14 against Seattle. He saw the field 72% of the time. You got 43 snaps. And if you remember that game, the offensive line was in shambles. It looked really, really bad. Just throughout the entire contest, just getting blown back on the ball. I mean, it was awful. It really was. And perfect illustration of why the offensive line was so bad. I mean, all you had to look at was 3rd and goal from the 1. And Chip Kelly calls 2 pass plays. In 2013, he's pounding that ball in the end zone with McCoy every single time. So they couldn't get this touchdown there. So after that game, Chip Kelly decided to utilize Selleck more in pass protection, and it's evidence. I got some snap numbers here for you. So week 5 against St. Louis, Ertz sees the field 40% of the time, and after this, you go from 72% against San Francisco, and then you just see a huge decrease after that with Ertz. So 40% week 5, 42% week 6. Week 7 was a bye week. Week 8, 51%. Week 9, 29%. Carolina game, week 10, 50%. And it just keeps going down. So, he didn't see the field a lot. And there's your stats to, kind of back that point up.
Yeah, great stats there. And a lot of people wonder how the Eagles are going to be able to, replace Jeremy Maclin. Now, obviously, the Eagles went out and they drafted Nelson Aguilar there in the first round with the 20th pick. And obviously, he's going to be a big part of replacing Macklin's production. But, really, the guy that people forget about is Zach Ertz. And I think he's going to be, a key component to, trying to replace some of Macklin's numbers. You got to really expect big things for Ertz this year. With Macklin not there, and it's going to be interesting because obviously there's a new quarterback here now, Sam Bradford. So when with Foles, he kind of always had that connection with Riley Cooper. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of connection Bradford develops. We'll see if Ertz becomes his guy.
Now, I was talking earlier about Ertz not seeing the field. Now, Kelsey and Mathis, they did come back for the Carolina game, which was week 10. And this was the point, obviously, when Mark Sanchez was your starting quarterback. So, in some of the people's defense of, why Ertz wasn't seeing the field more, this is where I kind of understand their argument because Sanchez, kind of built that connection with Ertz during the preseason, and Ertz, Ertz is like that perfect safety outlet for Sanchez. Obviously, a guy who can't really get it down the field as much. So you had Mathis and Kelsey back, and you had Sanchez as your quarterback, but Ertz from week 10 to week 13, he still wasn't seeing the field much. It wasn't until that Seattle game where he really, saw that increase in snaps. So, that's where I kind of agree with some of the people that said, were questioning why Ertz wasn't seeing the field.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think, this year there should be no excuses. Ertz should be seeing the field a lot, and he should be seeing it often. And, hopefully we can figure out a way to get him involved in the red zone too, so we can, pick up his touchdown production.
Yeah. I mean, you just look at the physical traits this guy has. 6'5", 250 pounds. He's got sub 4.7 speed. He's a fluid route runner. He can line up tight in the slot, out wide. He's really a matchup nightmare. I mean, do you put a linebacker on him? Do you put a safety on him? I'm really expecting huge things from him. And you talked about it earlier with the wide receivers. A lot of these guys are really young, so he's the third-year guy. he's the guy that's ready to break out. I think he's going to be the MVP out of the tight ends and the wide receivers. He's really going to be the guy that shines on offense. I really think this.
Yeah, and it's kind of crazy. You bring that up, and it's crazy to think about now because when you look at the tight ends, say if you exclude Selleck from this, so you look at the tight ends and the wide receivers, Ertz is really the veteran guy there. Riley Cooper.
He doesn't count.
He doesn't count as a wide receiver.
Cooper sucks.
He counts as a blocker. When you think of Riley Cooper,
Yes.
you think of a blocker. He's not a wide receiver. So, but when you look at the tight ends and the wide receivers there, Ertz is really the veteran guy. So it's crazy to think about because just a few years ago, he was a rookie, and now he's really much the veteran guy of that group.
Yeah, it's crazy. It was funny the other day when I'm not big on Pro Football Focus, but they nailed this one. I asked you, I was just like, one guess. The wide receiver who finished dead last in the Pro Football Focus rankings last season.
Yeah, it was Riley Cooper. I mean, there's no doubt about it. He's he had that stretch there. 2 years ago when Foles, went crazy. But ever since then, he disappeared. So, yeah, he's not a great wide receiver, but he's definitely a good blocker.
Yeah, as much as we make fun of Cooper, he really is a good blocker. Like that's one thing in his game that he is really good at. And Pro Football Focus did reward him for his blocking. He did finish in the top 10 among wide receivers in blocking skills. So, but other than that, he's shit. The dead last ranking, it's him, and it's not even close to anyone else. He's so far below everybody else. It's crazy. And I remember when we signed him to that extension, I'm like, oh no, we both knew that it was a fluke. The little stretch run he had with Foles. Come on now.
Yeah, no, exactly. Cooper always gets brought into the picture too, and obviously when McCoy was making these comments that Chip Kelly's a racist, and then people that actually believe that they go and they talk, well, Cooper is still on the team, and Cooper made those comments at the concert and all these kinds of things, but it's pretty simple why Cooper is still on this team. He likes a block, and Chip Kelly, he likes a wide receiver that can block. So he's not on the team for his catching abilities. It's just his blocking abilities.
Yeah, exactly. It really is. So we today's not going to be a big show. We're pretty much already done. But to conclude this, let's talk about what we think Ertz is going to finish with this season. I think he's going over 900 yards. He might approach 1,000. I think he might come close to double-digit touchdowns. I'm thinking 8 or 9 touchdowns, 900-something yards. That's what I'm thinking with Ertz this season.
Yeah, I'm actually I'm around the same on the yardage situation. The touchdowns, I'm probably going to be at about maybe 6 touchdowns. I think the touchdowns are going to be down a little bit because I think with the backfield now, I think that they've got multiple options. I think Murray is a better goal line situation running back than McCoy was. And obviously now with Matthews and Sproles in the backfield as well, I think they can have more options that way in the red zone to score. So I don't think his touchdowns will be that high, but I definitely think his yardage will approach 1,000 yards.
That's a good point. It's a really good point there. So, but I'm still going to stick to 8 to 9 just because I have too much pride to change it. So I'm going to keep it.
There we go. Yeah. But I actually think as far as the tight ends and the wide receivers go, I think the most touchdowns in that group, I think that Jordan Matthews might actually win that.
See, I'm going to go with Ertz. I think Ertz is going to finish with the most. I think they're all going to pretty much be the same. But I I guess we could talk about this really, really, really quick. Maybe this is like another show in itself, but I think too many people are like, oh my God, the wide receiver position it's fixed now. I think it's still going to take a year or two. These guys are young. We got rookies and second-year players in this offense. I think there's going to be some time that they need to gel and all that stuff. So don't be surprised if the production isn't as good as you think it is this season. So just fair warning to everyone. Just saying.
Yeah, well, you're right, because I don't think that they're really going to throw the ball as much as people expect. I think that this is really going to be a different game plan per se, and you're going to see them run the ball a lot more often. You're going to see a lot more, passes out of the backfield to Sproles. So yeah, as far as the wide receivers go, I don't think you're going to see them utilize the same way as in the past. So it's going to be a different type of offense. And as far as the wide receiver goes, I really still believe that Huff is a key component to this whole thing. I think that they have a nice little group that they got going here with the wide receivers. But I think if Huff can step up and play to the the potential that they expected when they drafted him, then I would say that their receiving corp is pretty decent. But Huff is really the key.
No, he really is, because you've got two guys in Aguilar and Matthews who I think are going to be solid, and you're going to need a third guy to step up. So I don't think we expect it to be Miles Austin. So he's 32 years old now, so I don't expect him to be the guy. So it's going to have to be Josh Huff, and hopefully he doesn't huff and puff and blow the ball away this season.
No, that's pretty much all he did last season. He would just blow the ball away every single time. So yeah, let's hope that he can get his act together. But yeah, like you're saying, it's gonna be different. Can't really expect too much from the wide receivers, but it'll be interesting. I'm definitely looking forward to another second year with Jordan Matthews.
Yeah, and I completely agree with you on the running back point. It's going to look a lot like Oregon. You're going to have the three-headed monster. They're going to be running the ball a lot of quick screens, a lot of stuff like that. So I totally agree with you there. And the production isn't, fantasy-wise, I wouldn't really go with any of the Eagles wide receivers. Maybe Zach Ertz definitely, but not anyone else. So stray away this season.
Yeah, I mean, if you go with any of the Eagles' wide receivers, they would have to be like one of your third wide receivers in a fantasy league. And the toughest part with the Eagles, anyone on their offense, is it's going to be very sporadic. It's going to be a week-to-week thing. I mean, we've seen that in the past under Chip Kelly. So it's tough to go with one of the wide receivers as your top, one of your top guys every week.
Yep, exactly. All right. We talked about everything today. We said we were going to keep it short. Quickie ones are always the best. So it's final thoughts time. Mike, go ahead, man.
Well, really, with this, this whole season is going to come down to the offensive line, which we've been talking about as we talk about Ertz. But we've got one of the oldest offensive lines in the NFL, and we've got to put a lot of trust right now into this sports science program, because the theme of this season is all about sports science. Whatever they're doing, they're at the NovaCare complex. They better be doing it right, because with all these injuries that we've accumulated in the off season, they better get it right, because if that offensive line starts to get some malfunctions like it did last year, we're already starting with Alan Barber in there as a starter, since we don't have Hermans anymore. So we don't need to go deeper than that.
Exactly. All right, so he gave his final thoughts. I guess we'll conclude this with a little singing, more singing, because, come on, baby, make it hurt so good. Yeah, yeah. Dude, I can't wait for that duet tonight. We're going to kill it.
You ready to go?
All right. All right, with that being said, we got to go practice. We're out of here. We got to. We'll do a show next week, I guess. We'll see how it works out. I mean, I know we didn't do anything last week. We're kind of busy right now, so a lot of things going on in our lives. So that being said, that's Mike Owens. I'm Adrian Fedke. We're out. Take care and go Birds, baby.
Go Birds.
Peace.